Hello, everybody, and welcome, welcome, welcome to Mondays with Michele. Um, I'm joined by the beautiful Lauri Cox, and I'm so excited. And we will get to Lauri in just a second. I have some things that I want to just mention. Um, I always have stuff I want to talk about on Mondays, whether it's moon messages or just Mondays with Michele, whatever. And today, what keeps coming up for me a lot over the last, I don't know, 3 or 4 days and this has been a common theme over the last month, periodically, not constant, but periodically. And it's that which we resist persists. So it's twofold. That which we resist persists. So we want to be really mindful of that. We want to be really careful of that. We want to know that if there is something in our world, within us, outside of us, wherever it is, that we're not in love with, the more we focus on it, the bigger it gets. It grows. It's a spiritual law. There's no choice but that. We're feeding it every time we think about it. So I want you to really be mindful of that and think about the things that you don't love in life and how often you give it energy, whether you are talking about it or thinking about it or complaining about it, whatever it is, but how often we do that and what that really does and how detrimental that can be. And then the other thing is, whatever you're thinking about grows, right? So it's kind of the same, that which we resist persists, but also whatever we're thinking about grows. So what do you want to grow more of in your life? What do you want more of? Do you want more love? Do you want more peace? Do you want more joy? Do you want more opportunities? Do you want more experiences? Do you want more travel? Do you want something new in your home? Whatever it is, focus on that. That is how we do this thing called life, this human part of this life that we're in, right? Our spiritual knows this, our human forgets it. So I just want that to be a nice little reminder before we get started. And with that, I am so excited to introduce to you guys a woman that is just like, I call her a force of nature in the best possible way. Like oftentimes when we hear that, you can kind of think like, oh, nature is little, who knows? But what I mean by this is like the best possible force of nature. She is a goddess incarnate. She is earth. She is sky. She is fire. She is water. She is all of it in one package. And I love her. I'm so excited to introduce her to you. If you don't know her, and if you do know her, to maybe get you to know her a little better. So, with that, I'm going to hand it over to Lauri Cox.
well, well, thank you. I'm blushing, actually. I am the
Don't
air,
blush.
fire, the earth, the air, the fire, the water. Well, hello, Michele. I'm so thrilled to be here tonight. And like I said, I don't really have an agenda, just other than to chat, maybe share my story about what I do, how I became of that, and how I always do like to share stories of like just how evolutions happen. Like we hit one part of our journey and we're called here, and how you can look back and kind of see like where you got from here to here. And my
Amen.
husband my husband calls me an ever evolving enigma, and that for sure I am. I'm continually evolving, and I can look back in my journey and go, because I did this, it led me to this, to this, to this, to now what I do today. So,
Wonderful. And
well,
Lauri, let me just
mhm.
say real quick, Pat is here. Hi, Pat.
Hi,
Anyone
Pat.
else who's joining us? Say hi. Oops. Say hi and let us know that you're here and where you're from. Okay. So, because we want a conversation, we want
Mhm.
you guys to be part of this. I don't want this to just be Lauri and I chatting. I want you guys to be involved too, because we've all had experiences similar, right? So, okay. With
Yeah.
that, Lauri, share how you are ever evolving, which I love, love, love.
Well, I'm going to put my glasses on. Hopefully, I don't have
Sure.
too big of a glare because I want to make sure if questions do come in that
Yes.
I'm able to answer them. So I am the creatrix for Soul Art Studio here in West Jordan, Utah. I consider myself a mystic, a intuitive mystic, a animistic mystic. But you can call me yes.
Can you, just for some of us that may not know, what's an animistic mystic?
Okay. So an animist is somebody who believes that there is an energy and a expression behind everything. And so where it comes to herbs and when it comes to, if you like to play with crystals or, this is one of my, animistic tools that I use for my magic. And I work with the expression. So my studio, which I'm in tonight, she has her own expression, and my job is to tap into that expression of how does she want me to express her
Ooh,
to my community. And so
love that.
every program, my mystic sister soul school for holy mysticry, she is her also her own, she has her own expression. And so I'm continually working with the expressions of how can I, as the vessel of you, share you with the world, with the community. And for those, particularly women, I work with women only.
Mhm.
How can I toss those golden threads out there to to receive in those women who seek what I'm seeking, because what you seek is seeking you. And so I look at it that, so that's what animism is working with the expression of the thing, whatever that is.
Yeah.
So for somebody, I know for me as a little child, if you I had a doll, that I could have sworn, and I carried that doll with me to school, hid her in my backpack till I was about 15 years old. I believed that she really was something. So I can look back and see that I've always been this way. I've always had a really, really deep attachment to the things that I really, really love. And like, saying I'm sorry if I have to throw you away, or, you know, thank
Yeah.
you for, thank you for being in my life and it's time to let you go, and
So, Lori, can
yeah.
you expand on that just a little bit?
Hmm.
Like when you say that, this doll that you had that you carried in your backpack until you were 15, that you believed she was something. Like,
Hmm.
does that mean like you could just feel that there was a life force within her, an energy force, that
Yeah,
she wasn't just a plastic, inanimate thing?
yeah. So she was a little like beanie kind of baby. She had a plastic head. She had a little orange jumpsuit. I think most of us back in the, that day and age, we pretty much had a lot of the same kind of
Yeah.
toys. I would never have ever known how to explain it or express it back then, but I felt a really deep sense of attachment. Like she was like a keeper of my heart, my secrets, my like that one thing that I had that could keep me safe and secure. And through a lot of, turmoil that I had through my childhood. And her name was Rachel, and I would give anything to have her still this day, but I don't. And so I guess I felt like, and I've always felt like these things, whether it was being outside in a flower, that it had this little energy to it, that it was like my friend, I just intuitively knew that as a little girl, and I did not know how to express that. And I didn't even know what that was until many years later. And then I was like, oh my God, now what I'm doing right now makes so much sense to what,
Mhm.
to, my childhood. I lived in a forest as a little girl in Tahoe, California. And so, um, I believe that, as a little girl, I ran that forest by myself as a little girl, and there was a creek there. And I can look back at that now and know that I was playing with the fae. I was communing with something, because I was always a really, like, my mother would always say how quiet I was, and how I always knew could play so well by myself for hours and hours at a time. And I would tuck myself away in like little corners and make little huts and little quiet spaces. And um, I I don't think I was alone. I think I was playing with little somethings that were coming my way that I had a connection with. So
Of course. Oh my gosh, I just love that. And I love finding out that that was what your childhood, because it just like
yeah.
connects all the dots of who you are now.
Yeah.
Like I said, to me, you are earth, sky, water, and fire incarnate. So it makes sense. So I
Oh.
just want to share some of these comments because we've got some great ones. Pat's from Minnesota. Thank you, Pat. Andy Tripp says hello. Andy here. I've been working with Lori for almost 2 years now.
Yes, my love.
Lori Smith says hello, ladies. Denise says, good evening, ladies. Card, please, if you have time. Okay, we're going to talk about how you're going to get a card later. It's going to be different. So, and Andy says, I have a teddy bear I feel the exact same about. His name is Toddy. He is love, comfort, safety, and healing. Oh, I love that. Right. And those of us that are like, I believe everybody is an empath and sensitive to a degree. Everybody's on the spectrum.
Oh yeah.
Some of us are just a little more dialed in. And those of us that are more dialed in, like these things, like your doll, your teddy bear, your I had a blanket that was like everything to me.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I still have it.
Exactly.
It's in my cedar chest.
Hmm.
Um anyway, but okay, so guys, we can do some cards at the end if there's time, and I believe there will be. The way that you're going to get a card tonight is you've got to interact with us. You got to ask some questions. You've got to comment. I want a lot of activity on this tonight. And I'm asking, like, when we do our intuitive stuff, it's some work for us. And so I'm asking you guys to give us some love so that we can give some love to you. So comment and ask questions for Lori, and let's have some fun, and then we'll pull some cards and Lori can give some insights and we'll have some fun. Okay, so Lori, so you had your doll, and then I know I interrupted you to get to the comments, but I hope that didn't derail your whole train of thought. But go ahead, wherever
Yeah.
you were.
Yeah. So, and I think it's not common for a lot of us to not even understand that we have this intuitive, or we have this connection with things. Yes, we all are. We all have this empathic ability. We all have this intuitive ability. But I think through, of course, years of programming, or our surroundings, our circumstances, whether it was meant in, nobody ever said don't be intuitive, or don't play by yourself, or don't feel so much love for this baby. But it was just never part of my upbringing. It was never something that I really understood. And so and that's where I come into what I do now, is helping the women that work with me to understand that the art of animistic, you know um connections, and also how to tap into your intuition. And everything I do comes from a spiritual foundation, like a connection, because magic comes, whatever you want to call it, magic, um, alchemy, manifestation, whatever you call it, I call it magic. It comes from the foundation, from a spiritual level. For me, it's not like a Harry Potter, you walk into school and then all of a sudden you have these magical powers. Your potency comes from really developing your relationship with whatever that spiritual aspect is of you, whatever it is you believe in, which doesn't matter to me. it, whatever that thing that's bigger than you is, it tapping into that and really really honing in and making decisions about the kind of relationship you want to have with your the highest expression. I call it your she, your soul's highest expression, which is your essence. Your essence is the truth of who you are. It is, it never lies. It is always truth, and it is always available to you. But however, it can be really really dimmed through years of programming and depending on what, again, your upbringing, what, how you felt empowered, maybe religious points of view. And as long as you feel where that where you're empowered where you are, then that's the right place for you. But there are, there are fears around tapping in. If I do become too powerful, or if I do become too much for others, what if I do claim
Absolutely.
who what if I do claim who I am? Then people are going to be, either they're going to be scared of me, or they're going to misinterpret me, or whatever. And really, I think tapping into that side of yourself really allows this sense of freedom to just, I was with family this weekend and somebody asked me, "So are you a witch?" And I was like, "Yes, I am." Uh-huh. And
Yeah.
they were like, "Okay, tell me
You
about
bet.
that." You know,
Yeah, I love it. And you just owned it, right? Instead of
I,
going, well,
yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. Uh,
Um, and Lori, I think too, like, even if we like religion obviously does has some of that, but even just school, just being in the system from the time we're like preschool age, where
yeah,
we're told, what do you think about everything? We're told to
right,
think about it, not feel about it. And
right.
those are two different things, right? So
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
we get it from every way. And so it's not even that we would, like, some of us might have this thing like, oh, I'm afraid to step into that power. But some of us might not even know that it's a possibility just because
Hmm.
we've never been shown how to tap into it,
Oh
or
yeah.
right?
Oh yeah.
Or to just even
Yeah.
realize, oh, that little feeling in my gut that says don't do that. That's, you know what I mean? Like, anyway.
Yeah. Well, and it, just going back to that, feel about it and think about it. There's emotional intellect, and then there's spiritual intellect. You
Yes.
know, and I know for me, I share this story with my soul school. I know for me, back in the late 80s, and Oprah was, of course, queen of it all. And she would bring, remember the day she'd bring on her, her the authors from her book club, and you would fill out the piece of paper and you would order the book and you'd pay 99 cents, and then you'd go into debt because never fulfilled your subscription and all that. And I did that, and I would get these books and I would be like, I do not understand anything that they're saying. I
Mhm.
I could not understand it, but I see now that I was very, very called to the spiritual, esoteric realm. I was being called to it, but I just couldn't digest. My mental intellect could not grasp it. And it took
And
me a long time.
Lori, I'm even gonna say, like, I feel like there's a component, and maybe I'm completely off the mark here, and you might completely disagree, and that's fine. But I feel like obviously you were tuned in as a young child,
Yeah,
being in the forest with all the elements in the Fae. You were just tuned in, right?
yeah,
Happy as a clam to be alone with your friends out there.
right.
And so you already had it,
Yeah.
whether you were utilizing it on a daily basis or not, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And what I have found is a lot of the books that was drawn to early on, that I'm just like, oh my God, I'm broken. Like, this makes no sense to me. Years later, I realized, well, it's because they're starting at this basic level and I'm not there.
Exactly. Exactly.
So, not that like those books help a lot of people, but for those of us, some of us who are like, what in the world? And there isn't anything wrong with us. Those books just
Mm-mm.
aren't for us at that
At that
time.
moment. Yeah, and I found, like maybe I sold them in a yard sale or something, and then I've ended up back, going back and repurchasing them. I remember Seed of the Soul by Gary
Yeah.
Zukov. That was one that I got, with that mail order thing, and
Mhm.
I had no idea, and then ended up purchasing it again. And Elanya Van Sant, one day my soul just opened up, just things like that. And then it just like suddenly it clicks. And
Yeah.
you're like, now I got it. Now I get it. And now I can, and now I can delve further. And, yeah, yeah. So, but I think programming and, we don't want to be different in school. I was different in school and I didn't want to be different in school. That's like the worst thing,
Yeah.
to be different. And, but I can see now that all of that, even, I create women's circles, and even as a young girl, like looking through recipe books, cause I wanted to throw like tea parties and bring people together and let's be friends and all of that. I've been doing that for a long time, and now I get to do it professionally and create beautiful
Oh,
experiences. Yeah.
how
So,
lucky for all the women in West Jordan and the Salt Lake Valley.
yeah.
Um, okay, so I put up the definition of animism right here.
Okay.
Attribution of conscious life to objects in and phenomena of nature or to inanimate objects. Okay.
Yeah.
So and it's not like we're making it up. It's there.
It's there.
And I wanted to show Denise's comment as I got older and been in these groups because as a child I had nobody to talk to, alone knowing I knew what I knew. Oh, absolutely. And like
Yeah.
Lauri said, you don't want to be different. School's out that age is already hard enough.
Yeah.
Like, nobody talked about it. Amen. Nobody talked about it.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Oh yeah, no, I didn't know anything. I didn't, and especially the community that I grew up in, like, uh, nobody knew. I didn't know what manifestation or alchemy or magic or nothing. No.
Well, we probably all knew about like witches and but it was a negative.
Oh
It
yeah,
was evil. It was the occult
yeah,
or, whatever.
yeah.
Um, Laurie Smith says people just thought I was weird, so I stopped talking about it. After my son died, I became more in tune to it. So I love that.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah. Well, that's the thing, is that I think I bring together, like in my community, I used to say, when I was a professional artist, I had a painting that I did and it said she knew she was strange and peculiar. That was about me, and I think that I tend to attract the women who are like, I hear all the time, I can't believe you're in Utah. Like, I've been looking for you for years. I just found you. And then, but being strange and peculiar is like, so it's that's the magic. That's the
Right?
mysticism. That's
Right?
that's that's the fun part. I'm not looking to be anyone else other than myself. And I love to bring together this strange and peculiar,
Yeah. Well, because that's the special sauce that
Yeah.
each of us has. When my kids were young, if they there were very few things they could say that I would get upset about, most of the time. But if they said I just want to be normal, I'd be like, no, no, we do not say that. We don't ever like, you
Yeah.
know, you don't want to be anyway.
Yeah.
So I love that.
Well, and I love Andy's comment. I'm
Yes.
gonna, one of her biggest fears. So Andy has been in my circle for the last couple years, and she is one of my strange and peculiar ones. And she is one of the most lovely people I know. And so it's been just so sweet to for her to find a place to,
Yes.
belong and not be misinterpreted and feel
To
like
feel home,
she
right?
just is, she's who she is. She's who
Yeah.
she is. Yeah.
And that's how I describe it. It's like you finally have come home.
Yeah.
When you can embrace your strange and peculiar, weird,
Yeah.
whatever you want to call it,
Yeah.
it's home, right?
Yeah.
So Andy, you said I'm going to do that. That's one of my biggest fears, being misinterpreted. So what are you going to do? Um, and then she says, well, we were taught to fit in and conform. Amen. Right? Do like everybody else. Be like everybody else. You don't want to stick out. You don't want any of that attention.
Yeah.
Um, so true. And Denise says, I always knew it was a gift because I knew things would happen before they happened. And some people were afraid of me. And I would question myself, oh my gosh, amen. Yeah.
And
Right.
I get so excited. Like there were like four things that happened like a week ago. And I was like to my husband, I'm like, okay, I got to tell you these things because they're just freaking unbelievable that I knew, like I knew, like I knew, like I knew. And it really happened. And yeah, that validation is, I'm still shocked. I'm still shocked about the things that I know
Yeah.
that I really find that are true, you know?
Well, and I love that. And it's like I'll think of something or whatever, and then it'll happen, and I'll be like, holy shit. And
Right?
or I'll say some weird thing in a reading, and I'll be like, I don't even know. I'm just gonna leave it there. And then like 2 weeks later, the person will message me and be like, Michelle,
Right?
and I'm like, oh. and
Uh,
and I'm like, I've been doing this for so long, and I'm still just amazed, not at me. I'm amazed at how my intuition and my connection to spirit
yes.
works. That's
Yes.
what I'm in awe of
Yeah.
every day.
Yeah.
So Andy says, oh, we adore you too, Andy. And I just, I love it. Um, Denise said it's hard knowing what will happen, but you just don't know when. Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
right. And that's one of the things. I don't know if this has happened with you, Lori, but like intuition and how it's used and what it's used for has really changed for me over the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Like it's gone from like I thank goodness I don't attract people very often that are like, when am I going to meet my guy? You know, that's what I want to know. When am I going to meet my guy? When is this job? And it's like, no, 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 that's not what this is about anymore.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
it's so much deeper than that, and it's about
Yeah.
evolution. And
Yeah.
anyway, okay.
Yeah.
So I want you to continue. And people, what questions do you have for Lori? Let us know. Thank you guys for all these comments. I appreciate them so much. Lori appreciates them. We love to have this conversation because it
Yeah.
makes it so much more fun. If
Yeah.
Lori and I just wanted to talk together, we would just Zoom. Like,
Right.
we can have a great time on Zoom and a great time with you guys. So,
Yeah.
what questions do you have? Lori says, when I knew about my dad, I was pulling in the driveway and the thought came, it's a matter of time. And I saw an hourglass. Oh, wow. And
Wow.
then Lori, so share with us, like, what was the time frame with that? So share if you want. Okay, Lori. So I keep interrupting you, but all these incredible comments, we gotta,
I don't feel interrupted. I
okay,
feel like we're just having a cool conversation.
wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to know, like, do you want me to share kind of like my journey of evolution or like how I do what I do or,
I
um,
have yes, I do want you to share that, but I have one question beforehand.
okay.
Because I think that so many of us are we're in such a journey of exploration and transformation and like education and all of this. And so I would love to know, because you work with so many women and
Mhm.
with all of your things, with your circles, with your school, all of it, so many different women,
Yeah.
like what do you feel is a really important thing that we can all do to help us to maybe awaken the mystic and
Hmm.
grow the mystic within?
Oh, okay. Well, those are really good questions. Well, I think, of course, daily or quite often weekly time with yourself and just asking, the question, especially as you're starting, just asking, help me to become tapped in. Help me, show me the way. show me the way, and allow me to be an open portal. I think that connecting with a community is absolutely essential to find your people, especially it's so important now. It's always been important, but I think we went through, and we have are still going through in some way or another. This severe disconnect with others. Of isolation, of loneliness, of um, feeling again that we're alone or different, and really creating an intention to find your people. And I always say, your tribe is waiting for you. You just have to show up. So asking those things, and asking for the little nuggets along the way, the little almonds. The almonds are the things that we tend to discount so much.
Mhm.
The almonds are there to show us, whether it's like for me, one of the omens I ask for, because I hardly ever see them, are ladybugs.
Mm.
um Show me, a ladybug, and one will just randomly show up somewhere. But it's not all the time. Or ask for, um learn to tap into your super potential, your highest expression, and understand that a spiritual path and spiritual connection, and being in ritual, or it's a practice. It's, Michelle and I, just she was a guest for me recently, and we talked about that. It's a spiritual muscle that you have to continually work. You're not going to decide that you're going to run a marathon and not practice before you start that marathon.
Yeah.
the other the other
Training
thing
involved.
the other thing is making decisions that you're that you are just making a decision, that you are powerful and potent, that you are tapped in, and then allowing yourself to start believing that. Just believe it. And I always say, just, you don't have to believe in it, just believe in the possibility of it.
Yeah.
Just in the possibility that it's true, that you are that which you say you are, and then allow that to really unfold for yourself. um, I struggle with anybody thinking that they're not worthy. We're all worthy. That's just not even a question for me. We're all worthy of whatever we want and desire. And let's see, I want to circle back and make sure I captured the answer, because with me, I can go off anywhere.
Well, I think it was perfect because I mean, it's all about the worthiness. It's about the honing your muscle,
Uh-huh.
right?
Yeah.
And just being open to the potential and noticing the signs. I mean, you know, we it's like I have a prayer that I say when I know that I'm being called to do something and I don't know how to do it, or I
Mm-hmm.
don't believe because I haven't seen it. Our human wants to know. We want concrete, we
Yeah.
want
Yeah.
tangible.
Yeah.
And so I just go, I don't know how this will work, but I'm willing to be shown.
Yes.
And then that's just me saying, I'm open. I don't know where it's going to go, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I have to just share one thing quickly about omens because it's really easy to just kind of pass it off. So I had to go to Salt Lake this last weekend because I had something was going on and I needed to be there. And I wanted to be there. And so I'm at my sister's house on Saturday morning. And all of a sudden, I'm sitting there and I can see her, back her trees. And all of a sudden, there's just all these birds. And I saw a dove. And I'm like mesmerized by doves. And I used to have doves in my yard all the time, which my backyard, I shared the backyard with my sister. So I'm like looking at her backyard at my old house. It's very surreal. Anyway, so I'm like, oh my God, my doves. And I go running over to the window, and there are just birds. As soon as I got to the window, it's like 50 birds came. Robins, these little finches, the doves, all this. And I'm just standing there, and I'm just like, because I don't have a lot of birds where I'm at. There
Mm-hmm.
are birds all around, but not in my yard. More than when I first moved here. But, I'm working on calling them in. It's just, I'm kind of in this pocket. Anyway, So my sister, so I'm like just loving the birds, and I'm just sitting there, just, soaking all their sound in, and their song, and their all of it, just their energy. And my sister goes, "The birds haven't been here, Michelle." And I said, "What?" And she goes, "This is the first day they've come.
Oh,
Like
wow.
they haven't." And I'm just like, so at first I was just like, "Oh, that's cool." And then later, as I was driving, when we were on our drive home, I'm like, the birds hadn't been there. They were, it's like that was such an omen for me.
And you did it. You're like, I did it. Look what I
Yes,
did. Look
right?
what I did.
Look what I
Yeah.
did. So yeah, it's awesome. So
Yeah.
Lori says probably 3 months between when she saw that vision of the hourglass, knowing that it was a matter of time. It was 3 months. And then Denise has a question for you, Lori. How do you handle the overwhelming feelings of having people's negative feelings bringing you down by their doom and gloom? I hate it when actually feel their fright. Yeah. Oof.
Yeah. Yeah. That is tough. You know, I'm really good at shielding myself. I'm very, very, very protective of my nervous system. I do shield myself, and I also allow people to have the feelings that they want to feel. Let's see, I want to make sure having negative feelings bringing me down. Are these like negative feelings towards me? Oh, with doom
No,
and gloom.
other
I
people being in
Yeah,
doom and gloom and
yeah,
that affecting her. I assume she's saying because she's an empath, right? I
yeah,
mean, that's
yeah.
your door.
So I did a painting many, many years ago, and I share about this, and it's hanging up in my house. So anybody that comes to my house and uses my bathroom, they see this painting. It says on there, and this was something that came as like a spiritual download at a really, really hard time in my life. And it says on it, I am master of the universe, and all planets come to me. And what that means for me is this is my universe right here. This is my universe. And who are my planets? Who who are and we talk about manipulation like it's a bad thing. Manipulation is part of magic. It's part of manifestation. And how can I manipulate and maneuver the people to play well in my energetic field? And
Well, those people are your planets.
Right.
Okay,
And
I love that.
also working, yes, and working with frequency the way I do, and I'm not about emotionally bypassing. I'm very, very human, and I am a shitstorm myself sometimes, and I am, can collect other people's stuff too. But I think what it is it's come down to I know how to quickly like um, get it off of me, clear it, bless it, release it, and all of that. But I I look at that my universe, especially with wherever you are with the our current leadership, whatever side you're on, to know that in your universe everything is okay in your day-to-day life, and just being an allower of that in my space. I protect my bubble, and I'm no longer a resonant. And here's what happens is when you become a very conscious person, and I'm a really, really intentional person. I'm intentional about who I allow in my space, who I spend my time with, who I tribe with, all of that stuff. um, when you become really, really intentional that way, and you learn and you work and you're focused on really raising your vibration and the way you think about things, eventually you will not be a resonant match for that gombu, those people who might like you become shielding. You're not a resonant match in that. So if you find that you're taking on that kind of stuff, then there's something within you that is a resonant match for that. Without res without resonance, there's not the frequencies just don't align.
And
What?
Lori, I'm going to say one thing that this is just my opinion or what I've noticed. I think that with social media, it's a little different
Yes.
because
Yeah.
like there are days when I get on Facebook and I'm like, oh, it's going to be a good day. Like I'm going to see lots of cute puppy videos and cute animal videos. And then there are other days when I get on and I'm like, okay, protect,
Yeah.
because there's a lot of heaviness and
Hmm.
a lot of intention and a lot of speak and a lot of things that I don't ascribe to
Yeah.
on both sides. I say this fervently, both sides. That was the one thing in 2020 I was told, get your ass to the middle. You got to be in the middle. Not that you can't have an opinion, but you need to be in the middle. That's where you'll find peace, because I was praying for peace. And
Yeah.
they told me you have to get to the middle. And it's
Yeah.
not just politics, it's most things.
Everything.
But there's a lot of contention on both sides. And so, like, I don't know if this is what Denise is, I'm sure she's talking about other people who are in her, closer thing, but it's hard. It's hard. There is so much negativity out there, you
Hmm.
know, and I'll be with people that I love, and it's like they just want to talk about all this really negative. And I'm like, yeah, I don't do that. So let's come over here and let's come to this talk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't. But it's up to us, is really what you're saying. Like we are in control. It's our universe and our planets that are orbiting around us.
Yeah. Well, and another thing that I would like to say, you use the word overwhelming. I've reframed the overwhelming with just, I'm just whelmed. I'm whelmed right now. You don't have to be overwhelmed. You can be whelmed, and then you can reset your nervous system, and and understand that other people, they have control over their emotions, and going into fear is, it's not helpful. It's not, but it's human nature. But then asking yourself, when you are in a space of fear, what is it that I'm afraid of? What am I afraid of? And really kind of going backwards, like, oh, I'm afraid of this because of this, and it affects me. You know it, yeah.
Absolutely. Those
Yeah.
introspections are always super important.
Yeah.
I
Just
mean,
reframing the words that you use, because words are spells. And instead of choosing to say, I'm overwhelmed, because what happens when you're overwhelmed, you just keep bringing in reasons to be overwhelmed. Or
yeah,
it's okay to be scared, but really declaring that and just being in that energy of fear, or that energy of doom and gloom, it just fosters more of that. You just
yeah,
continue to create it and create it and create it, and it's really hard to get out of that once
yeah.
once
And
you're
that's
there.
why some days when I go to log on, it's like, yeah, today's not the day. I'm going to
Yeah.
post what I want to post and then hit the road, Jack.
Yep. Unplug and be on
Yep.
the way. But
Okay.
I feel.
Andy says,
Oh,
oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead. Let's go to Andy.
Andy says intuition for me feels like an instant download. My problem is for some reason I don't just follow it in the moment. My first thought is to do the opposite, or rather brush it off. Boy,
Yeah.
been there, done that.
Lack of
I'll let you.
lack of faith in yourself, and that's what being, that intuitive mystic inside of yourself is, just learning to trust yourself. And again, it's all about unprogramming the programming and learning to trust your highest consciousness,
Amen.
that space of you. And it's all practice and practice and practice.
And Andy, if I just want to share with you that when I was first like doing this really seriously, when I would get in and thought like a download like that, and I didn't trust it, I would just write it down. Like I had a notebook that was full of these weird
Oh,
things that would just pop in. So that then I didn't have to carry it up here. I didn't have to remember it, first of all. And then if something came, I could go back and say, oh, didn't I get something about that? And then when I can go back and see it, I'm like, oh, okay, I did it. Like there
Yeah.
it was,
Yeah.
so, and I love that it's right there in black and white. You can't argue with it. Like if you've written
Right.
it down. So, which I always argue with it. Like, oh, that can't be. No.
Yeah.
I wanted to say Darlene is here. Hi, Darlene. Okay, everybody. So
Darlene.
if somebody wants a card, let us know. Okay, Denise says, what a glorious memory you got to witness with your family. I know. Wasn't that just the most incredible thing? I cannot tell you. Um, Lauri, she says, that was a powerful explanation. Thank you.
Oh.
Lots of time it's family, and sometimes we need to distance ourselves and just wish blessing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Bless and release. Bless and release.
So basically, release other feelings.
Yeah. Yeah. Those aren't yours. That's not your truth. It's not your truth.
Yeah.
And, and
Oh,
you can bless that. Yeah.
Darlene says, I've learned the art of deflection. I no longer take on anyone's stuff. Oh, how beautiful. And I
Yeah.
think, we talk about there's I think also there's the side like protection, like because I always think about my protect blend that I created for myself as an empath. I needed something to help me loosen up all this stuff. When we take on stuff from other people, it lands in our heart center. And I needed something that would help me. I was doing all the things. I was doing um all the meditations, all the visualizations, using all the stuff. And it was working to a point, but it not enough. And so that's why I created my protect. But what I love about it is it loosens it up so it can be released. It creates a protective bubble around so that we don't take anybody else's stuff on because everybody, if you don't know, in case you don't know, and maybe a good reminder, we have an etheric body that goes out to the end of our
Yeah.
past our fingers
Yes.
and all the way
Uh,
around the top and the
mhm.
bottom. And
Yeah.
it is like a vacuum. It's a sponge, it's a dry sponge. So think about all the people we come in contact all day long that's within this field, right? And so we want to like when you get a sponge wet, it won't take on anymore. That's what like my protect does. It seals that all up and provides a protective bubble. And this is the other piece. Not only so that you don't take on other people's stuff, but so that you're not giving your stuff to other people too. Because we don't want that.
Yeah.
We don't want to be junking up other people's energy either. Like we
Mhm.
all want to keep our own, right? Um, so just be mindful of that. One thing I do want to say also is to address what Lauri said about the importance of having a tribe and the loneliness. I spoke about this on a live I did last week, and there is literally, the Surgeon General has declared it an epidemic of loneliness in this country. And tons of other countries have done it, have called it that as well. And this is the thing though. It's not people that are isolated. It's not people that live alone and work online. It's people that work in offices with hundreds of people.
Yeah.
There is this sense of feeling alone that we have to address. We have to. It's imperative to our emotional, spiritual, physical, mental health,
Yeah.
period.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
So Denise says, powerful, thank you.
Hmm.
Darlene would like a card. Lori would like a card. Denise would like a card. Pat would like a card. Okay. Anybody else on here that wants a card? And what other questions do you guys have? Because we got to ask questions, guys. That's how you get your card. So Denise asked a question. Um, what's been created to manipulate and control? Are you talking about the isolation, Darlene?
Oh, it's been created to manipulate and control.
Yeah. Are you talking about the isolation or what's been created? Um, all right. So,
Andy would like a card.
Andy, thank you. Oh, yes. Darlene says yes, the isolation. Yeah. And I think it's just, there's a lot of heavy. There's just a lot of heavy, and a lot of people don't know how to manage the heavy. And when you're a human being, when you're a spiritual being here learning how to have a human experience, all this heaviness can really just like weigh you down, like literally. So, I mean, what are your thoughts about that, Lauri?
Um, I feel like, 5 years ago there was regardless of how of what anybody believes, if it was real, if it was not real, if it was created, if it was, zhuzhed up by, conspiracy theorists. I don't know. Um, is that regardless of that, it created a global collective fragmentation.
Yep.
And when all of a sudden we went all of this time, and I don't even remember, like, it's kind of a blur, but I know it was really like a good year and a half, and then moving on to really 2 years. I know that um it was quite a while. um and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, we're back to normal. And we didn't have a chance to kind of like renormalize back, and our nervous systems have been shot, and all of a sudden we're just like back into life. We're just back there, and it's just go 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 go, and people had to return to the office, and um you didn't have to worry about social distancing and all of this stuff. But we never so many people never really reconnected with the people that they loved. I know for me, a lot of my community just kind of like went off, and whether they siloed or just kind of went off on different journeys. And it was like kind of like recreating my community again, which is what I did. And but we need to continually be working on our nervous system, nourishing our nervous systems, doing the things that um, allow us to put to let's see, we're fragmented, and putting back our nervous systems to a point where we can start feeling like we're not lonely beings, because that does a whole nother thing to your nervous system. There's all kinds of things that the hypothalamus of your brain, which is the command center, it's sending all these messages throughout your body, and your body is getting all of these messages and signals, and then it's creating dis-ease in your body, because emotional strain has to eventually land somewhere. It's going to manifest into something.
Well,
And
the issues are in the tissues.
the issues around the tissues, yeah.
I mean, that's that saying, the issues are in the tissues and the body keeps score. So
Yeah. Oh,
we know
yeah.
that, but like
Yeah.
we got to think about where it all is. And I like there's been a kind of a big aha for me over the last like 6 months. Those of us that as children felt things and a lot,
Uh-huh.
I think our nervous systems took a big hit from that because we don't know how to process it. We don't know what to do with it. We weren't taught. Like this was not like, we're not in some, most of us are not in like a culture where shamanism or mystics are a thing where from a young age, this
Yeah.
is how you deal with it, right? We're
Right.
not educated.
Yeah.
And so and I'm not going to use the word over plus whelmed. I'm just going to say we're whelmed. We were whelmed and like as young children. And so for our whole lives, our nervous systems have just been getting hammered upon hammered upon hammered. And so we have to be able to address that on the deepest. That's why for me, block therapy is so essential. And like, I want every single person to do it because it addresses all that. Like,
Yeah.
I cannot believe the amount of emotional stuff I've been able to process in a short amount of time and in a really healthy way. Not all of it, but more than I've processed more in the last year and a half than I did in probably 20 years before that
Mm-hmm.
with all this you know, just because I'm able to like really get in those tissues and go, wow, like my big toe was holding immense frustration about a situation that happened when I was 5. You know, literally that happened. I was working on my big toe and all of a sudden this memory came up and I was flooded with these feelings and I'm just like, "Oh my god," you know? I worked on it and it, you know, anyway,
Mm-hmm.
um so we've got to be aware of that. Like our nervous systems need special love and special care.
Yeah.
And it starts with how we breathe.
Oh
We're
yeah.
all shallow breathers.
Oh yeah. We
And
do
that,
not use our lungs to full capacity. Yeah.
well, no, and most of the receptors in our lungs are in the bottom third. And we when we breathe, we don't even get to those, you
Okay.
know? Everybody take a nice deep breath. Woo! Expand those
Get that
lungs.
Buddha belly, expand your
Yep.
belly out and feel
Yeah.
those lungs and then a ah,
Yeah.
you know.
And so I love, everything that Lori said. Like we've we don't we were not shown how to move into the pandemic in a healthy way, and we were not shown how to move out of it in a healthy way. And I
Right.
don't care what you believe, and in fact I'm going to say, like, don't even focus on all that. Was it real? Was it not? Is it this? Is it that? It was,
It
period.
was.
And what
Hmm.
do we do with where we're at now? That's what I care about.
Yeah.
Who
And
are
this is where we are now. Now what do you want? Now what do you want to
exactly,
create? But
exactly.
and the other part of this is that this was a collective. Like it wasn't just we were all experiencing it. No matter where we were, nobody was it didn't matter how much
No,
money or time or resources or whatever, we were all experiencing
the
some level,
entire globe.
the entire globe. So that is a different dynamic. But I like that you said that, Michelle. We were never taught how to move into something like this, and we were not shown how to move out of it.
No,
And there are so many, and I specifically say women because that's what I work with, but I know men and women that are just out there, still trying to figure out, like, where are my people? Where do I go? What do I do? That, like, they're still rebuilding and figuring this out. And because there was this discombobulation, and you know, again, find your community, find that thing, find that that tool that allows you to feel that aliveness start integrating back into your body,
yeah,
and smile and experience some joy, and moving your body. And I want to say really quickly, because go back into that protection of your, this auric
yes,
field,
yes,
because we're so visual. Just a really simple exercise is just to um, visualize your heart as vast as the sky. Just visualizing, closing your eyes. Your heart is just this, as vast as the sky. And you've got this beautiful sun energy, which is so the season, like we're here, new beginnings. We've got the spring equinox. The sun is going to shine for us more and more and more. And you're receiving that prana energy, and taking your arms and just visualizing this auric field wrapped up in this beautiful golden light. Now, gold is a high frequency metal. And so I love to work a lot with gold, or visualize this, vibrant purple bubble that swirls with gold and all around your auric field. And so when you go, and this is your bubble that nobody else can see, and it's pliable. So let's say somebody at the grocery store bumps into you, they can't penetrate your bubble, they can only bump your bubble, right? And then it bumps it right back out, and your bubble, this beautiful shield that you have is unpenetratable.
yeah,
And that can really, really help with the naysayers, with those that might have the negative, or the heavy energy, the frequency that you know, but having that visual, I think is always very helpful. That you can just
Absolutely.
like, step into your spacesuit, zip it up, whatever, whatever that looks like.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Thank you for that reminder, Lori, because it's such a simple thing,
yeah,
but we forget or we just get busy or whatever the situation. But I think I love that because it's so simple and it's so effective,
and it's
right?
like 5 seconds.
5 seconds. So let's see what Pat says. Had to work through being good with being alone and comfortable with silence. Oh my gosh. And that is not easy. Like the silence is not an easy thing. And being alone, it's kind of like it's off putting, right?
Yeah.
Um, and you know, I've been talking for a few weeks about, well, probably a month now, about feeling like in the collective, there's so much going on with the throat chakra, and people's throat chakras are a mess.
Mhm.
And part of it is we're not listening, right? And I'm not just talking listening to others, I'm talking listening to ourselves, listening to the plants, the animals, the all the stuff. It's like we're not listening. We're so disconnected
Yeah.
that so it's so important and that bubble will help you be able to hear better.
Yeah.
And Pat says, I was a different one in the large family. Of course you were, right?
Yes, I'm celebrating you,
Yes,
sister.
yes,
Yeah.
peculiar
Yay.
and
Yes, for
awesome.
being different.
Yes. We've had to self navigate and carry everything with us until we found our way. Amen.
Mhm.
Andy says, where do I fit? What is home and tribe? So many questions still outside of the shutdown.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And these are just, and I don't know that we'll ever truly, the answers might evolve. Like that question might still be present and it might evolve and you might feel confident that you have the answer one day and then maybe not another day.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, but I love that. And Pat says my favorite grounding is breath
Oh yeah.
immediately. Like
Love
I
breath.
love that.
Love breath.
Darlene says, love that. And Denise says, I'm grateful to God for ladies like you and groups that understand and teach us the understanding and the ways to help ourselves and others to achieve daily encounters with grace and compassion and beauty of our surroundings. Oh,
Oh,
thank
thank
you,
you,
Denise.
Denise.
Yeah,
That's
that's so sweet.
beautiful. And I'm grateful for those of you
Yes.
who I'm grateful that I get to do that, but I'm always so gratefully and tremendously blessed, and honored that women do show up, in my space, because finding a safe space where you feel like you can land for even just 3 hours it's a blessing. Once you find that place, you hold on to it.
Yes. And I say this every single time. Like, I'm honored to be able to do this work. It is truly, like I say it all the time and it might sound rote, but never. Like I don't take it for granted.
Mm-mm.
I don't,
Yeah.
I'm honored that, like you said, anybody shows up, that when I do a session that I can help people, hopefully, and whatever. But it's we're all here together to help each other. That's why we're here. We're here to love and support each other.
Yeah.
And so let's get some love and support with some cards. Okay, Lori. So what I think I'll do is these are the two decks that called out to me today. So the first one is Mary. I just feel like we need some real gentle beauty right now. And then the other one that called to me was the herbiary deck, which is all plants and flowers. And that's in honor of Lori, of course. So
Aw.
let's see. Denise is first. So make sure everybody's here. Denise, Darlene, Pat, Lori, Andy. So if everybody's here, just say you're here, and then we can do this. And again, you guys, thank you all for all of your comments and your questions and everything. It's been so much fun to have this conversation with you guys. Not a conversation at you guys, but a conversation with you guys. I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah.
So, okay. So, Lori, what I think I'll do is I'll pull the card and then we can just share what we think. So,
Okay.
Denise is the
And
first.
I'm gonna throw out a disclaimer is, oracle cards are not they're not my medicine. They're not something I work
Yeah.
with a lot. So you
And
know?
that's why I didn't like, I'll pull the card and you just give whatever insight or feeling that you get for the person. Doesn't need to go with the card. It's just you. Okay.
Okay. All
If
right.
you're comfortable with that, Lori, whatever
Yeah.
you,
If something comes through, if I get a heart hit,
excellent.
I'll
Okay.
share.
So Denise, this card is going to be about self-care. And I'm going to actually pull two for you. I'm going to pull the Mary and the flower. Because something's been going on. Like, I don't know if you're tired, if you haven't had sleep, but it just feels like there's some fatigue. It actually feels like minerals. Like, have you, and when I say this, like, I'm not going to say, have you been drinking your water? Because water is not what I'm talking about. It's like charged water. So, water with some, really high quality, clean salt, water with a squeeze of lemon, water with some lime, some orange. Charged water is how we really hydrate, right? Water by itself does a little bit, but not a lot. So we want charged water. Okay, so the first card is clear the way, and it's sage. Oh my gosh. And Denise is the one that was asking about the energy. You can't make this stuff up. Okay. So basically, Denise, do exactly what Lori said. Bubble. It's your universe and your planets. Don't let him in. Don't let him in.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the Mary is watched over. I allow myself to feel safe and enjoy my life, knowing that heaven is watching over my loved ones and me. How beautiful. Look at all those flowers on there, too. Okay. All right, Denise, I hope that helps. Okay, so now I think everybody said they were here. Darlene is here. Okay, great. Okay, Darlene, we're gonna do the flower cards. And I think Darlene asked, what's next in my business? Okay, I feel like, Darlene, I keep seeing two paths, and you can't decide which one is best. And I'm seeing they don't have to be two separate. I'm seeing like a convergence, like a coming together. You're looking at it as two separate things, but if you can see them as together, that's where the magic is. So if this was me, I would just say, I don't know how that would work, but I'm willing to be shown. Okay. Um, and the card is nettle. Pay attention. Oh, I love this. Look at that great big eye.
Oh, I love it.
Okay.
Hmm.
And so to me, that just goes along with what I said, in that you're seeing it as two separate. How can you see it as one? Right. So allow your spiritual self, your intuition, to guide you more. I don't know if that makes sense, Denise, but you have anything, Lori? Well, you'll tell me, right?
Well, I just had a thing, and it's similar to something you've said, but it's a saying that I've said. I don't know what the answer is. I don't know what the answer is, but something inside me does.
Ooh, I love that.
I don't know
Right.
what the answer is, but something inside me does.
I love that.
So intuition and really asking to show me the way, show me the path.
And what I love about that, two things: the openness, right, of saying, I'm willing to be shown,
Yeah.
but also honoring your mental while not giving it full control,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
By saying, I don't know what the answer is, so there just isn't an answer.
Right.
Whatever. That's what we humans love to do, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
But so I love that. Thank you for that reminder. And
Mhm.
Denise says, 3 days ago, I just started on vitamins and minerals, and I bought electrolyte water.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah. This cards are amazing. This
Oh.
past night was perfect. Thank you both.
Oh.
Thank you, Denise. And
My
blessings to you.
my pleasure, Denise.
Yes. All right, Pat, you're up. So, Pat, I know you're a singer, and I don't know if this feels like it's come up before, but I just keep feeling like it's not so much your throat, it's more your ears. Like, are you not hearing something, or struggling to hear something, or hearing things in a different way. I almost feel like this is how your intuition, it's a new way that your intuition is trying to communicate with you, is through the hearing. And so let's see. Boundaries. I am clear and honest with others about my expectations. So, are you hearing things about boundaries that might need to be set? I don't know. Boundaries. So, see if that fits somewhere. Hi, Laura. Welcome. Okay, nope, it's not too late at all, Laura, but we have a little caveat tonight for the card pulls. You've got to ask a question of the mystic goddess Lauri Cox. So, and you just joined us. But if what questions do you have about, the spiritual realm, being a goddess, your intuition, protection, being whelmed, whatever it is. I love it. I can't stop saying it. I love it. Okay, Lauri Smith, this one is for you. And let's see, I'm going to use this. I'm going to use the flower cards because this feels like something that you want. And Denise, let me say something really quick about you just started on vitamins and minerals. We want to be careful with that because a lot of the things that we take as supplements are flushed out. We don't absorb a lot of them. So it's really good and it's hard, but we want to get as many of our vitamins and minerals and nutrients from whole food sources as we can. Like that's what our body really responds to. And it holds on to it. It metabolizes well. It's like utilized. So just know that. Yeah. Okay. So, Lauri, where are the three girls? Are there three girls, Lauri? I keep seeing three girls. Pat says yes. So I'm going to assume that means yes too. Whatever I said. the listening. Oh, and is there something you're not hearing or listening to, or a new way of your intuition or something like that? Okay, so, oh my gosh, second time. And I mean, I have shuffled these cards and shuffled these cards and shuffled these cards. Lauri, whatever's going on with the three girls, clear the way. Sage, 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 sage. Clean it, clear it, and let it go. It's time to this is what I'm seeing. Be done. Okay? Be done. So Darlene says, I've been paying much more attention to being guided, and I've been given new products to make. They're asking me to make everything that I sell. Ooh, I love that. I love that. Okay, let's see. Pat says, that is interesting. I have fluid in my ears often. Oh.
Huh.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
Okay. Lauri, so your daughter and two granddaughters. So whatever situation is going on there, clear it, clear it, clear it, clear it. Oh, and Pat says, I believe I am blocking hearing. Possibly, right? And so like what Lauri said with that beautiful gold bubble or purple with the gold in it. Like, I don't know, Lauri, do you have any?
Well, I would like to ask the question is, what are you afraid to hear or see or and you don't need, that's not, I'm not asking you for an answer. That's a reflection question, because if you just said you've got issues with your ears, you're blocking hearing. What are you afraid of hearing? So that's a good reflection question for yourself.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you for that, Lauri.
Mm-hmm.
So Lauri Smith says, daughter and two granddaughters. And she says, oh, not them other ones, LOL. What do you mean, not them other ones? Can you elaborate on that, Lauri Smith? That would be great. Okay, and then I've got Andy. Oh, and Laura asked a question. Okay, my question is, am I now on the right path to regain my health? Okay. Laura, I need you to ask a more like I said, a question about this would be more of a question like what your card is going to be. But we need a question, like I said, like what question do you have about the spiritual realm or about being a goddess or tapping into your intuition or growing your intuition or whatever. Okay, so Lori's sisters. Is that what two sisters, a sister-in-law family crap. Okay. Sage it, and literally like when I have situations like this with people, I can visually go and clean and clear. But I'm a very tactile person. I'm very visual and I'm a touchy person. So I will literally get, if I need to clean a situation that involves four people, if I'm one of them, let's say I'm one of them, I will get something that represents all four of us
Mm-hmm.
and I will bring it together. And I will create a sacred space and I will do a ceremony of cleaning and clearing. And it really helps it to feel solid, grounded. I don't know if that makes sense, but do you do anything like that, Lori?
Me?
Yes.
Okay,
Lori.
so
Lori.
Laurie, like we got Laura, Lori.
Yeah.
So I was actually going to say something like that, creating, some kind of a circle that each sister, because it's out of ethics to enter another's energy field without their permission.
Mm-hmm.
However, you can have intellectual conversations with the essence of those sisters and sister-in-law together and hopefully help shift that and clear that based on what you have control over, because you only have control over yourself and you don't have the right to enter or make decisions or even you can put love around it but not necessarily even um, adding energy to another person's energy field without their permission. But I love that idea because I was going to say something similar. Create a ceremony, create like a kind of a talking stick ceremony where you get to say how you feel and then you can pass it along and pass it along and all of the cosmic fields of each of the person get to speak. And so sometimes, even just writing a letter and burning it can really like that. That's like simplicity. That's magic 101 right there.
Amen.
Write a letter, say whatever the F you want,
Oh,
anything you
say it,
want.
Lori. Just
Fuck. Say whatever the fuck you want. I didn't know if it was this kind of program. Okay.
absolutely.
I know. You say what you say what you need to say, and then you burn it, and there is an energetic exchange that happens. And fire is the element of shift. It's fast and it's potent, so each one of the elements goes works with things in a different way and a different speed. And so the fire element is quick and swift, and that fire goes up and it can take that whatever, that gombu, and it can shift and lift and it can reframe it and it can recreate it into a different form. And so something like that, maybe sitting in an energetic space with these three essences, and what does each have to say to you? You can be the note taker and do a ceremony, burn it in the fire. There you go.
I
Boom.
love that because just like Lori said, fire is an incredible alchemizer, period.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
transmutes like no other. And Lori Smith, I'm gonna push back a little bit. I have to play the game for a while and then we'll be done. But in the meantime, I have to ground protect myself. Yes, you don't know when the game is going to end. That doesn't matter. You can still clean and clear the energy and protect yourself.
Like you always you
Yeah.
like that's just like washing your face and brushing your teeth.
It's hygiene, it's spiritual.
It's spiritual hygiene.
Yeah,
Yeah. You
exactly.
just
So, yeah. So do whatever. Do what I suggested. Do like the circle, do the letter, whatever feels good, but do
yeah.
it because
Yeah.
you've got to remove this energy from you. Like
It's not yours.
it's
Your whole,
and it's messy as all get out.
yeah.
So let it go. Okay, Andy, you're up. Andy, so I picked two cards for you, one from the Herbiary deck and one from the Mary deck. And this feels like almost like a blueprint. We're going to put them both together of you, like how to practice your intuitive muscle, how to practice using it, how to practice trusting it. So the Herbiary one is dandelion and its perseverance. Okay. And I'm going to say it's even more than perseverance. We have come to know dandelions have gotten such a bad rap, like forever. They're just as sweet. No, they are essential to the microbiome of the planet.
Yeah.
They are essential and they do so much good. And so to me, this is like, but the word perseverance, it's like, don't give up. Some days you're going to feel good with your intuition and some days are just crap and you're just like, I'm broken, whatever, but you don't give up. It's a new day, it's a new moment, it's a new breath, whatever it is, right? Just be in it. So that's the first thing. And then honesty. I am in touch with my true feelings regarding the situation. So I want you to really, this is a challenge, and Andy, to really look at what you believe about you and your intuition. Like, do you believe you have that power? Like Lori said, we all have it. Don't I she doesn't like it when we say we're not worthy or whatever. But how do you feel about it? And where can you clean up some of that? Okay? So, and literally like this also, this card, when I turned this card over, I saw you like as a little girl playing with the dandelions, like blowing the ones that are like the wish and rubbing the yellow on your face. So I'm gonna say get back to little Andy. Let little Andy come to play with this stuff that you're doing. Okay, so Laura said she is sorry for her confusion. This is more of a comment to elaborate on. For a long time, I felt like I couldn't hear my mom. She passed 30 years ago when I was 26. I realized I do hear her, but her essence is so familiar. It seems like my own thoughts and intuition. Ooh, I
Oh,
love that, Lori. So, what do you have to say about that?
that is, well, how precious is that? And so are you, so my question is, when you're receiving those messages, are you believing that it is her?
Well, I think she's saying that she just feels like it's her. She thinks it's
Oh,
Laura thinks
but
they're
her
her
essence
own
is
things.
so familiar. It seems like my own thoughts and intuition.
Yeah.
Hmm. But I'm wondering, like, is she questioning that? Like, or just feels so tapped into her mother
Oh, yeah. Good question.
that,
Yeah. So,
yeah,
Laura, do you feel tapped into it, or does it feel, or do you not really acknowledge it as a connection?
that's a beautiful gift though.
Yes.
To feel like you couldn't hear her and then all of a sudden that's embodiment. That's embodiment.
Yep. And she
Yes.
says, yes, now I'm starting to tell the difference between her and me.
Oh,
Awesome.
yeah.
Um, okay, we got to go back up here to Lori Smith. She said, I would write the letter and burn it. I will never bring up what they did. I'll burn it and walk away. Perfect. You do
Perfect.
not need to bring it up. You don't need to talk about it. That
Yeah.
is the one thing that has been the biggest gift to me with working with the Fifth Energy Center is understanding that when there is a true balance in that space, that you don't have to say anything. You
It's
can
actually the same frequency of actually speaking it out, and then you don't have to deal with the trauma of the the reaction.
absolutely, right?
Yeah.
And even just knowing like that you don't have to say, getting to the space where you know you don't have to say anything. I don't have to prove myself. I don't have to defend myself. I don't, you know what I mean? Like being, because, I talked about this several weeks ago, but when a female fetus is formed initially, The fallopian tubes, the ovaries, the fallopian tubes, and the vocal cords are one organ. And then as the fetus grows, it separates, right? But that imprint is there forever. That is connected, right? And the second energy center is like where our soul sits and our intuition and a lot of things. And so it's completely connected to our fifth energy center. So, we can't like really trust ourselves, be fully in our intuition for ourselves. It's easier to read for other people, by the way, right? Because we're not as emotionally connected.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so it's important, I think, to know that and to honor that piece of you. So, all right. And Andy said, I used to rub the stem milk on my forehead, actually. I love it. So bring in little Andy. She wants to come. Okay, so
Oh, cute. Cute little Andy.
Laura. Yeah,
Cute little Andy.
she's beautiful. She is a beauty.
Yeah.
Okay, so Laura, I'm going to pull a card for you. Thank you for asking that. And I'm going to use the herbiary. And this feels like I don't know if you've been having like I keep seeing stuff when you're sleeping, so like dreams or something like that. Um Dreams or something that are, and it's like confusing, it's not clear. You think they mean something, but it's not clear, and I just keep getting write it down. So Lori, do you have something about dreams?
I'm not great with the dream realm, to be honest with you.
Okay. All right. I'm not good with like knowing what dreams, like symbolism, stuff like that. Like, what does this mean? What does that mean?
Yeah.
But if it feels like, Laura, that there's something going on, so I would just write them down and then just leave them there. And I would be like, oh, isn't this interesting? Oh, isn't that interesting? Okay, everybody, I forgot. I just wanted to say that today is the last day for my special, my buy two get one free on my session. So if anybody's interested in doing this, but in a longer session and getting, it's three. I do three because three is kind of a magic number, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
We set a real foundation in the first session with what we want to work on. And then when you're going to have two more with me, there's an accountability partner. You don't drop the string. I call it dropping the string when we've picked up the string of what we want to work on. And then when we're done with that and we don't have another session, then it's just like we drop it and we forget about it. And we don't want to forget about it. This is our time to really work on all this shit. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So Laura, I'm going to use the herbiary card, and it's Yarrow, Pocket of Protection. Okay, so what this says to me is before you go to bed, you've got to really, really surround yourself in that bubble. And I'm thinking gold, Lori. I don't know if you're getting any.
Always gold.
Yeah,
Always gold.
yeah, gold. And I'm actually seeing like bright white with the
Mm-hmm.
gold,
Mm.
which is like, divine. And so, but you got to protect yourself before you go to bed, before you sleep, especially. And like release, release, release. Maybe there's a release meditation. I don't know. Okay, everybody. I want Lori, you tell us how these ladies can get in touch with you. So
Well, you can always friend me on Facebook. I'm always open to new friendships. My website is soulartstudioutah.com. And if you're local, I do a lot of, local, so I'm a ceremonialist. And then I do have a 12-month, 1 year school, soul school, or Mystic Sister Soul School for Holy Mysticry. That actually starts in April, and it's a year, 12, well, it's a year-long program. It goes from April to April. I've got some 6-month circles, level 1. So I have level 1 and level 2, and then there's a level 3 that you have to go through level 2 to get to. So You can join my mailing list. And like I said, if you're local, go to solarstudioutah.com and join my mailing list and peruse around. You'll find all kinds of information about me, more than you ever wanted to learn is there.
Oh,
Or
no, no,
but
that's not true.
friend me on Facebook.
Yeah,
That's where
yeah,
you'll learn a lot about me. That's my social of choice.
yes. And you will love when you friend Lauri because she'll come up on your feed and it's one of those, ah,
Uh-huh.
you, a breath of fresh air. So thank you to everybody that joined
uh,
us tonight. I am so happy that you all were here, and thank you for the honor of letting us bring you information and maybe some new ideas, maybe just some reminders, and for letting us give you our intuitive insight.
yeah.
Um, Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you in a couple weeks for Mondays with Michelle again. Thank you.
Okay. Bye, everybody. Thank you so much.
And thank you, Lauri,
Oh,
for
my
being such
pleasure.
an incredibly beautiful guest.
Oh, thank you so much. Much love to everybody. Namaste, Satnam, all the good stuff.
All right.
Bye.